All right, welcome back to the program. If you're just joining us, this is still the press coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. We've now been joined by a guest. His name is Uthman Tochukwu. He's a public affairs analyst and also a legal practitioner. Together, we shall be taking a look at some of the headlines we read out to you earlier. And this is also a reminder that our phone lines are now open for you to call and join the conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me, Sandra.
How are you doing
thank
today?
you, Victoria. I'm very fine. Thank you.
Before we go into other details of what we have on our national dailies, let's begin with the Naira plunge. I want to get your reactions because I know that a few weeks ago we were here and we talked about Naira being around 900 and something Naira. Today we have reports that Naira is at 1,025 Naira to $1. How do you react to this?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm not a financial expert to start with, but I understand that the current governor of the central bank, Mr. Cardoso, had assured Nigerians that as soon as he settles down in the office, he's going to make sure that he stabilizes the Naira. And we are still looking forward to that quick policy that he's going to apply to make sure that the Naira is stabilized. But the truth is that we can't actually wait for him to take that swift actions because things are really getting worse and worse, as they say. It's important for them to understand that we are really going through a lot, and a lot is going through everybody. So it's no longer a question of we are going to do. We want to see them to start doing. And I think that's where we are. We're hoping to see the drastic measures he said he's going to apply to stabilize the Naira. Okay,
I know you said you're not a financial expert, but I'd like to ask this question. Although there's a probe that is to begin as to the domestic use of foreign currencies, do you think in the long run it could help to perhaps reduce the forex crisis we are experiencing? Especially,
I don't understand what you mean by domestic use of foreign currencies.
Yes,
like allowing us to use dollars in no. It's not even an argument. It's not even an argument for anybody to canvass. It's not going to be in any way in our favor in terms of strengthening the Naira or supporting our economy. That is a very bad argument to canvass, to allow foreign currency to be used in your own country.
That's what is currently happening, where you see everywhere you go, you're purchasing online, it's dollars.
That is the decisiveness action we're expecting government to take to stop all those kind of situations where we will be allowed to use any kind of foreign currencies in our country. We want, the only way to strengthening the Naira is for us to be using our currency. Regardless of the transactions, we should be encouraged to use our currency. We should also be encouraged to be productive, and I think this is also the major part where our leaders have to step up. We are consumption economy. We are not producing anything. We are not a production economy, and that's why we say that we are yet to be drivers in the train of globalization. We are still passengers because everybody is feeding on us. We cannot export anything to earn foreign exchange, and this is where the whole conversation should lie. So whatever we are going to do, and this has to do with I think Ministry of Agriculture, because we need to strengthen our products so that we can have global recognitions in terms of marketing to export and then earn foreign currency. If we don't do that, we will continue to have this conversation, and the Naira will continue to rise and rise and rise.
Sorry to cut you short, Victoria, but then I don't know how this is supposed to work. Does it come with stabilizing the Naira first or production first? Because you cannot produce or start up an industry with the price of things in the market right now. So I don't know which one do you think should come first? And also, this price of dollar right now is as a result of the president floating the Naira, and everything has just been going. So at the end of the day, because you made mention of the new CBN governor, what if it comes to a position where he has to go back on the policies of Mr. President just to be able to make this work?
No, you see, let's first of all understand that central bank is saddled with two major responsibilities: fiscal and monetary policy. Now, this time around, we're talking about monetary policy in terms of stabilizing, the naira to dollar. And one of the major ways to stabilize the naira is to allow for the free flow of the currency in terms of localizing the usage of naira. You cannot be in Nigeria and be spending dollar. That is unacceptable. And then to shift the conversation upward, we also have to understand that we need to increase our production level so that we can have the capacity to export and earn foreign exchange. Once we begin to move our product, instead of buying Mercedes-Benz, buy Innocent, right? Instead of buying laces and all of that, buy Ankara that is made in Nigeria. So all those one should come first, the stabilizing of the naira. They work in pari passu. They work hand in hand. They don't have full control because they play the same role in our economy and in stabilization of naira. But the major one is this production. So long as we remain a consumption economy, so long as we don't export anything to earn foreign exchange, the naira to dollar will continue to face crisis.
Okay, but do you think in any way the over-dependence on oil, because you're talking about production, the over-dependence on oil in the economy as against perhaps diversification and of course perhaps agriculture still is the reason why we are in this crisis?
And then again, yes, I think it's part of the reasons. It's part of the, not majorly. We cannot be having this conversation of, monotheistic economy over a long period of time. It is time for Nigeria to begin to shift the narrative of this too much relying on oil at the global market.
What do you think changed? Because I remember a time where a Nigerian was built on agriculture itself than even the oil. Then later it switched hands, and we can't even track ourselves back to the era where we.
You see, the truth is that we're all aware that the past administration, did campaign for shifting away from oil, diversification of the economy, going back to agriculture and all of that. But it was more of like a campaign strategy and more of like a paper promise, because we could not see it being actualized. But the truth is that if we can actually have this conversation again, and for the government to step up and diversify back to agriculture, diversify back to energy, we can actually have a lot to generate instead of this oil, because now oil does no longer have that too much value in global market. People are now producing electric cars. Where are we going to? We are still looking at using crude and all of that. All those things will soon lose their value at the global market, and then we'll begin to look at how we future at the global stage in terms of stabilizing our economy. And one of the best ways to do that is to diversify back to agriculture, diversify back to innovation, and diversify back to technology. And with that, we can begin to have this equal competition at the global stage. Okay,
if you ask me, I would say one of the issues that agriculture has faced in the past years is the issue of insecurity. And I don't think we can go back to putting agriculture on the scale we want it to be if we don't sort that issue. So now, regarding that, let me take this headline from Katsina. It says, Katsina launches security corps and deploys 770 vehicles and 1,466 newly trained community watch corps in Katsina State. So with this headline, because I don't know if this should stand as community policing. Is this community policing? Is this what we are looking for? And is this actually the right step in the direction of ending insecurity?
First of all, that is not community policing. And whether it is the right step in the right direction to take, I would say yes, because if you look at security generally, you would understand that security is best tackled locally. In terms of understanding the security architecture of a particular region. In Katsina, for instance, I believe that what is happening in Katsina is not too far from general community problem. They know who they are dealing with, and the government feels that the best way to tackle these things is for us to localize the security architecture in the state. So by establishing this particular security apparatchik in the state, I believe that it will go a long way in addressing their major problem. We usually canvass for these traditional rulers support within the state. go back to the traditional rulers, ask them to call their people to order, because there is this general belief that whatever that is happening in the state, the traditional rulers are aware and they know,
they have the first-hand information.
Exactly, they have information. So I believe that by the time this particular institution that has been established in Katsina begin to operate in full, they should be able to actually curtail some security problems in Katsina State.
Okay, let me come in now. Some will argue, still on the agriculture and diversification, that the reason why we are poorly involved in agriculture presently is as a result of the shift or migration from the rural to the urban areas. If you notice, perhaps, for instance, maybe Abuja is not supposed to be a place where people cultivate and farm, but even in some areas, you find out that houses are even more built than even farming activities. Do you want to reconcile your thoughts or opinions to this?
No. My opinion still remains the same. If you look at, I think the controversy is not even about urban and rural migration. Whether you are urban or rural, you can farm anywhere. We are not talking about subsistence farming. We are talking about who said there is no space. Do you know how big Abuja is? Let me tell you something that you don't.
Moving from some places, like for instance, Niger, which is supposed to have large mass land, but yet I know there's still farming ongoing there. But if people move from, let's say, Niger and perhaps go to urban areas like Abuja and the likes, who will farm?
The point is not about who will farm. Once government is ready to diversify, we are talking about commercial farming here. We are not talking about subsistence, what to farm to eat. Once government diversify, government, by the virtue of the provisions of the Land Use Act, owns every land in Nigeria. Government can allocate a particular place and say, we want to use this place for farming
area,
right? And then you deploy the mechanization and the machineries that should be used to farm those things. So there is no reconciliation saying because people are living here there is no space. No, once government wants to create a space, it's a question of, we want to grow, for example, grain here, or want to grow corn here. People are living in this place, but this place is rich and well enough to grow corn. Please, we are migrating all of you from this place. When government wants to take up their land to do some particular thing, especially for the growth of the economy, the question of whether or not there is no space does not even arise.
All right. Sorry, we've had callers calling on the program, but I'm so sorry we've been unable to take your calls. Please do call us on the program, and we will take your calls as much as we can. So, in regards to what we're talking about, moving back to the issues of insecurity. So how do you think now? Because if you agree that this is not an issue, this is not the community policing that we are looking for. In your own definition or in your own opinion, what are the things that we should be looking out for in the community policing that we are looking for? Because if this is not it, then what is?
Community policing, actually, like security generally, is a constitutional issue and it's a federal issue, and that's one of the reasons why whenever you hear this insecurity issue, people will be clamoring for the president to issue a directive. All
right, I'll have to cut you short there and take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Please go ahead and make your contributions.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead and make your contributions.
Okay, my name is Sandra. I'm calling from Lagos, and I would like to join the conversation.
Please go ahead.
Okay, some of the issues we're having in Nigeria, why we have continuous decline in terms of the value of the Naira, is because, in my own opinion though, is because of the insincerity of Nigerian government.
Okay.
Because you will observe that many of these international countries that are doing so well, the government puts some facility and infrastructure on ground that enables business to thrive easily. In Nigeria, it's not so. So majority of the people in the government are actually there to manipulate the system to their own personal advantage at the expense of the commonwealth of the entire nation. That's the first point.
Okay.
The second point, in my opinion, is we just have to be a producing nation. China is doing well, and US is doing well. Why? Because they are producing nations. Many of us, even internally, we don't patronize locally produced stuff that are produced by Nigerians, we prefer to buy something abroad. And anything that is coming abroad, it is assumed that they are more superior in terms of value, in terms of longevity than locally produced items. So these are the things that will be continuously that will be dragging down the value of the Naira. Now, talking about the third one before I round up is agriculture.
All right.
Agriculture is not becoming enticing like it used to be like 40 years or 50 years ago. Many parents don't even want their children to go and study agricultural science in the university or college of education because even those in the farm, they are not safe. We have crisis upon crisis upon crisis. Women being demised, women being raped in their own farm. We have a whole lot of issues going on at the moment. So because of that, people are even scared to even go to the farm and farm. So the problem will not end until government raise their game and put a very strong architecture, a very strong security in place. And they have to be sincere. This government needs to be honest and be sincere to the country before they can move things forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, beautiful morning to you, Abu.
Good morning, SMB. How are you doing today?
Good morning. You are on to SMB from Lagos.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm cool. Thank you very much. And then, as usual, let me quickly appreciate KAFTAN TV for giving us this ample opportunity to say our mind.
Thank you.
In the headline, something resonates with me. Let me quickly respond to the security issue in the State where the governor established about 1,000 something. I don't know. You see, if you want to do the political comparative analysis, Tochukwu was established under the law of the lands of the western states of the Nigeria. And then I see no difference if at least the western, the northwest, the northeast, the north central will do the same. At least. I can remember when this issue started with Zamfara, we said, let us consider this issue not only a Zamfara issue. Let us consider it as the whole Nigerian issue because if we allow it, it will escalate.
Okay.
Now, how many people are they going to mining in Katsina State? I mean, in Zamfara State. Did you ever had issue of any attack on miners or something of that nature? I don't know whether you understand my point. So now look at the attacks in school. Ever since the April 14, 2014 attack in Chibok up to June 17, 2021 of that Birnin Kezi Yawuri, we are still experiencing this as student kidnap and so on and so forth. I can remember on the 1st of February 2022, El-Rufai called on the federal government to establish an open theater command similar to what they have in the northeast and the northwest. Nobody is talking about that. Ever since El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State, talk about that, nobody is talking about that. Now, do you think in Kaduna State, if another governor come, that he cannot be able to handle the security people, which is not in law, under the law of the state? What do you think would happen? What do you think would happen?
All right, thank you so much for
I was thinking, when we want to do things, we should do them rightly. We should do them rightly. Let us make it under law or something of that nature. Believe me, we are in a serious mess. I don't pray for anything but I know we are in a serious mess. Thank you very much. I'm SMD from Lagos.
Thank you, SMD. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good morning, Zion. How are you doing today? Good morning, Zion. Please turn down the volume of your TV set. Good morning. Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Okay.
Good morning. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you doing today?
Fine, fine. You see, the last quarter made a good observation about what is happening with our government. One of them is sincerity. The government is not sincere, they are not honest. I've been pointing out this for long. Look at for yesterday or so. The government came out with notice that they are not subsidizing fuel. Whereas everybody money. And they leave what they're supposed to do to get money. Fuel theft. People are stealing oil on a daily basis. We are losing 400,000 barrels of oil every day. Multiply this by the current price of crude oil in the international market. How much is it? The government knows all these things. As a result, I mentioned the names of those that are responsible. Those who are stealing the oil. The government is not going after them. They are not afraid. Is there any conspiracy between the government and the thieves?
All right, thank you so much.
Excuse me, small. About security.
Yes.
It's a very small thing. Problem to solve. Our security of personnel agencies are not adequately taken care of. If I tell you the story of what happened in just last week, you may not believe it. Somebody was intimidated. They texted him to bring 5 sum of money. If not, they will kill him and his family. This man went to police. And they were directed to anti-kidnap unit. He agreed to sponsor them because those people don't have any logistics to tackle this menace. He provided bus, provided fuel, provided money for those people. Do you know what happened? In less than 4 days, on Thursday last week, those criminals were caught. They are now with the police. Then, supposing that man
didn't provide all of this. Yes.
What would happen?
All right, thank you so much for the time.
Security agents. Consequently, sponsor them, mobilize them, so that they do their work very well.
All right, thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. All right, back to our conversation. Since we're already talking about the issues of insecurity, if you can also connect that with some of the points our callers raised.
Yeah, I was going to say that security is a federal issue, and that is why any of these, any moment there is an attack in Nigeria, the state governors will be waiting to get a signal from the presidency, which actually should not be so. Since we have all the security architecture in place, there is NSA, the chief of defense staff is there, the chief of army staff, there is Ministry of Justice, and the Minister of Justice are there. You don't need a presidential directive to do your work. So once there is a breach of security, you swing into action immediately and do your job. But why it is very difficult to actually contain this insecurity in Nigeria is because of the way it is organized in our law. If there is a way they can address the issue of constitutional amendment to allow the state governors to have control. You are the chief security officer of your state, but to some extent you are limited. You cannot do anything when there is a breach of security in your state because of the way the law has arranged it. And I think this is one of the major issues, because if you also look at the law generally, it has recognized one of the major functions of government as protection, security and protection of lives of the citizens. And I think this is why even the economy is affected, because there is a breach of security. When government is trying to tackle the insecurity issue, then the economy is being left behind. They cannot fight everything at the same time. So I think it is even major to focus on this insecurity to get it right before we can talk about diversifying and talk about other issues that comes after.
If I may come in now, the caller that called earlier spoke about enumeration and
yes,
most likely, no matter how we try to sweep it off the table, you find out that enumeration plays an important role. Now, for instance, let's say intelligence gathering for bringing forth insecurity issues. Now, you find out that even the police system sometimes really do not become so operational. But when you see systems like, of course, the vigilantes, the JTF, the Amotekun, and they sweep into action more. Do you consider enumeration really as an issue that needs to be addressed, especially in the police system?
Aside the remuneration, which there is no question about the fact that there is need to actually, touch on the remuneration of these officers, especially looking at the fact that they are armed. Somebody whom you have given a gun and you are not feeding him well, if he becomes hungry, it's going to pose a very serious threat to society. So there's need to address the issue of remuneration. And another thing also that is missing, within the security architecture of Nigeria is the fact that there seems to be this disconnect. There is no synergy, amongst the security operatives, i.e. the Nigerian police force, the DSS, and the Nigerian Army. They don't have this synergy where you report an issue to the police. If it has to be to deal with something that the police does not have too much control, they do not communicate. I'm not aware that there is this channel of communication between. Sometimes you can even hear from the officer themselves complaining that there is no synergy between the police, the Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian Air Force, and some of these people, including the Nigerian civil defense. And these are very serious issues that the system needs to tackle themselves. There is already a channel of rules, right, designed by law. What the police are doing are defined by law. The role of the army is also defined by law. There is no, no trample upon. Each of them does not, communicate to one another on how they should tackle insecurity. And I think this is one of the major issues that they should address apart from the remuneration. Okay,
let me take a story. This story could all theft on the Nigerian Tribune, which is Senate to probe security forces, militia groups. Do you think the Senate is going through the right direction as to the probing of crude oil theft?
It's part of their mandate in terms of an oversight function. They have the right and the mandate to summon anybody, including me and you, to come and explain, how some certain things is going in terms of.
But I have no business with crude oil.
No, you don't have to have any business with crude oil. Once you are being found within the ambit of what the Senate can do as a matter of right, they can invite you to come and explain. For what you've just read out, the Senate have their mandate covered in that area in terms of an oversight function to invite them and then have the issues sorted out.
All right, before we go today, since you're a legal practitioner, I want you to address this issue. Some of the callers that we had today made mention of the issue of insincerity on the side of the government and the side of the leaders. And I want to say that the law has a role to play in that. Nigerians have lost trust in the government. One of the reasons is because at the end of the day, people who are caught doing the wrong things are not held accountable enough for their actions. We hear somebody gets arrested and then nothing happens after that. And it also applies in this issue of insecurity. We hear stories of bandits arrested and all of that. And at the end of the day, nothing happens. It just goes away. And this is also relating to a headline that I see here on The Guardian. It says, over 3,000 Nigerians on death row amid calls to abolish capital punishment. So why I'm saying this is, when it comes to the issues of insecurity and banditry and all of that, and you get arrested, I don't know what the judgment for that should be, but in a situation whereby, let's say for killing, you get to die by hanging or by firing squad or all of that, and then let's say for instance, at the end of the day, capital punishment is being abolished. What happens? Because I know that if giving you life imprisonment does not mean that you actually get life imprisonment. And maybe at the end of the day, a new government comes in and then there's a pardon for 300 inmates, and you just walk away like that.
I think this actually has to deal with our laws, right? In law there are different types of crime. They have crime that comes with capital punishment. will also have misdemeanor. You know, these are small crime that doesn't come with capital punishment. And in a crime related matters per law, right, there are some certain crimes that capital punishment generally, you know, has to deal with a punishment that comes with capital offenses. When you commit an offense that is classed as capital offenses, it comes with death penalty, which is what is called capital punishment. And it's a new conversation now that is trending, being pushed by some CSOs, civil society organizations.
Yesterday was what day against death penalty.
Exactly. I think that campaign started from Amnesty International and some other human rights watch organizations across the world. That there is this need to actually soften, you know, the harshness of what the term, the harshness of the law by killing people. If we are against murder, intentional killing, we should also be against, you know, killing people by way of capital punishment. There should be another punishment that could mitigate some certain sentence. But you know, there's also another conversation that comes with that. It's a general argument that we can bring to the table, especially when it has to do with policy makers, because at the end of the day, you still need it, a law to be passed by the National Assembly to address the issue. The truth is that if you kill my brother and the law caught up at you and you are not being killed, me seeing you alive will definitely affect my psyche. I just have to see you dead for killing my own brother. Do you understand? And I think this is the idea behind why such laws are made. But if it's a conversation that we should be having to see whether we can address it from our legislations, that the National Assembly should take a position to abolish capital punishment, it's a different issue. But one thing is to be convicted for capital offenses, right, to attract a death sentence, like what happened in Lagos, the police officer. And another thing is that every person who has been convicted for capital punishment or any offense at all can enjoy what we can call presidential amnesty at the discretion of the president, right? If the presidential committee and the amnesty committee meets and say this person actually has tried, please remove him from death row. The president have the overriding power to do that. So I do not know how long this conversation is going to continue, and I don't know to the extent, you know, through which the National Assembly is going to consider to address it from our law. It has to go through amendment, because the law has said capital punishment must come with capital offenses. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for shedding more light on that. And with that, we draw the curtain today on the press, or for this segment of the press, while we'll go on a break, and we'll be joined soon by another guest. That was our conversation with Uthman Tochukwu. We'll be right back.